I'm Brian Davis, co-founder of Bungee Virtual Lost and Found.
And I'm AJ Bontempo, co-founder of Bungee Virtual Lost and Found.
Bungee is a product which allows you to anonymously tag anything that you own, like your cell phone or your keys or your wallet or your sunglasses, and link it to your cell phone number and your email address, so that if it's found by someone, it can be easily returned. So basically, Bungee only works when the person who finds whatever it is that you've lost takes right action. And so what we've tried to do is, with text message, which is primarily how Bungee works, create a product which allows the person to take the right action very easily. The business model is, right now we have a B2C product out, which is, we sell tag packs, and this is a tag pack. So this tag pack comes with a wallet card, a key tag, and then 10 stick-ons of various sizes that you can put on your different items. Right now it's available for $10 coverage for the year, and $25 for lifetime. And you can also buy a family pack, which is 5 lifetimes coverages for 5 individuals for $75. And right now that's how we're selling Bungee. We're in talks right now with B2B customers, people who want to put the Lost and Found system directly on their products. So we're speaking with a sunglass manufacturer right now and a cell phone case manufacturer. And we think that as we move forward, we will be speaking with bag manufacturers and wallet manufacturers and different people like that. Find my iPhone. Once again, it's the same thing as stick and find, where you have to get to a computer and then track down where in the city your iPhone is, and then you have to go to that place, and hopefully it's in someone's lost and found drawer, or the maitre d' at the restaurant has it, or whatever. This is different. This Bungee allows the person who found it to actually return it to you, and to return it to you immediately. It works instantly. We like to call it mid-tech because it does use technology to accomplish what it does, but it is definitely not high-tech. And we have not seen anything exactly like it. There are other companies out there that have a lost and found product. They don't work exactly the same way that Bungee does.
They're more concierge services. They don't actually bridge the two people in direct communication.
Yeah, there's a few number of things that make Bungee a little bit better of a product than what's out there right now. But what we need to do, and what we're in the process of doing, is being first to market, and then creating a brand so that we are first in people's minds, so that we want everybody else who comes out and copies us, and we realize that that may happen, to be the copier. It's probably the main question that we get from everybody is, Bungee works if the person who finds the thing is honest or is willing to take the time to do the right thing.
We've been getting that question since we had the conception of this idea 5 years ago, and we've been kind of battling that. Everyone was always sort of doubting the product ever working because they didn't think people were honest. Yeah. We always thought that they were, and Brian and I we had the opportunity to actually be testing it ourselves for years before we ever launched. So we sort of had a little bit of knowledge that we knew that it did work and people were actually honest. So what it does is it actually creates a moral dilemma. When somebody finds it, it takes that finders keepers mentality out of the picture, where if you find a digital camera or a set of glasses and there's no identifying mark on there to return it to anybody, you figure, I have a new pair of glasses or a new digital camera. Yeah. But now that we sort of create a moral dilemma, so that now that you do see, I can return this to somebody, we find that people do actually take action.
In order to kind of answer that question once and for all, because it kept coming up, and it was a real kind of like roadblock in the conversation we were having with people. What we did, because we knew that it worked, was we rented a car, we got a bunch of stuff together, cameras, iPods, phones, and so on and so forth, and we took a road trip across the country, and we took a video camera with us, and we would lose something. AJ would go out and drop a camera somewhere, and I would be filming him from behind a bush or whatever, and we would film it being found, and then when it was returned to us, we would interview the person who returned it about, the whole process. And so we put all of that, kind of the results of that road trip into a video, and it became kind of our pitch video. And it wasn't until that point, until we had that as visual evidence that it worked, that people started to really pay attention to it. And that was kind of like, that was the takeoff point for the brand.
It works in New York?
Even in New York,
it works like a charm in New York.
One of the best stories that we have in New York is on New Year's Eve. A few years ago, Brian just decided to drop a set of keys in New York City, New Year's Eve at like 12:30, right? And he dropped a set of keys, and what, you got it back within an hour or something?
Yeah, I was at a party. I was actually bartending at the time, and at 1 a.m. I got a text message that my stuff had been found, and at about 1:15 I had my keys back in my hand, and it was that was kind of like a huge aha moment for us. It was like, if this thing works in the middle of New York City on New Year's Eve, when people are partying and it's just a mob scene, it's going to work anyway.
It's available actually in the UK right now, and our plans are to branch out and be a global. Our goal is to be a global, well, the global lost and found company.
Now we're based out of New York, and we run the company out of a small tech incubator place called WeWork Labs. And right now the two employees are AJ and myself, but we have some programmers and some PR people who are helping us with move things forward. But we're right now completely angel backed, no VCs, and we're moving towards the next stage of the financing.
I don't think it's going to be difficult to find backing. We already have our tentacles out, and we have some nice prospects, and we're trying to just figure out and lay out our entire roadmap right now. It's a little overwhelming with what's going on already, with how busy we've been since we've launched. So we're taking it little by little.
Yeah, and we crowdfunded the last bit of what we needed to do to get Bungee launched. We raised money on Indiegogo, and we were successfully funded on Indiegogo, which was great, and it was kind of proof of concept as well. And we've had, ever since we launched the Indiegogo campaign, a lot of people have approached us and asked if they can get involved. And we just want to pick the right people, because it's not, as you know, it's not just about having money, it's about having the right people kind of involved with you.
So we're actually looking
smart
for a strategic partner to partner up with us.
Yeah. Bungee is actually a pivot out of, AJ and I designed a keychain back in 2008. And Bungee comes from, we wanted to give the keychain a point of differentiation from other keychains. And so we thought, what if we made this keychain so that if you lose it, your keys get returned to you? And we started to investigate how to do like the if found drop in the mailbox thing. And there are other products out there in the history of the world that facilitate return of keys, but we realized it's just too slow. And then one of the things, we don't really remember like who said it to whom, but it was like, I wonder if this could work through text message. And we sat down and we kind of mapped it out in our head, and we said, why wouldn't it be able to? And so that was kind of the inception of the product. And then we realized as we moved forward that it could be used for so many different things besides just keys. We raised money for the keychain concept, and then when we found that element of the keychain was what we thought was most exciting, and so we pivoted out of the keychain and into straight up lost and found, into the Bungee product. So we've raised so far over the course of the lifetime of the project about 100 grand, and that has gotten us through from inception to where we are right now. What we found is that once people get the product delivered to them and they start using it, it's something that people talk about, because it is pretty neat. I mean, the way that it works, and it's so immediate. When people test it out with their friends, it's like, boom, wow, and so it gets people talking. And so what we found is that once it gets into people's hands, that kind of spurs a little bit more business as well. And so we can't complain. It's going very well.
Okay.
Before we get into that, it should be noted that AJ is in the restaurant business. He has two places in New York, and then he's working on opening a third. I myself have been DJing on the weekend, so I don't consider myself a DJ, but I'm someone who DJs, and that's how we've been paying the bills and funding the company. So we're not exclusively in the tech business. But the New York tech scene itself, it seems to be burgeoning. You know, there are some pretty big companies that have kind of grown up out of New York. I mean, you've got Kickstarter, which is kind of the newest and a very exciting company out of New York. I feel like I'm surrounded by people with great ideas who are pushing them forward every single day. And being in WeWork Labs, I'm surrounded by people who are just excited about, and I think it exists. You know, to be honest, we've never had much experience with the San Francisco and Silicon Valley tech scene, so it's hard for us to compare it. But it seems like New York is burgeoning. We raised $10,000, which is actually we raised $10,500, but our goal was $10,000, and we used Indiegogo because Kickstarter is actually for creative projects, and we submitted to Kickstarter originally. They felt that the creative part of Bungee was not they felt like it was more function than form, if that makes sense. That it wasn't an artistic project, and truthfully, when we got the notice back from them, we looked at each other and we said, you know what, they're kind of right. It's more of a it's less artistic and less creative visually than it is functional. Because at the end of the day, we only care if Bungee works. If having it look nice makes it work better, then that's great. But other than that, we just care whether it works.
Well, thanks for coming in San Francisco.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.